my relationship with God and your relationship with God and somebody else's relationship with God is very personal. Because we're all called to be in a relationship with God and to respond in that relationship in the way that we can. Because we're not all the same. We don't all have the same spirituality, as it were. We all don't have the same ways of praying. We don't all have the same ways of being. But we're all called to be in contact with that presence of God and to find him in the things that happen. To find him in the reality of the present moment of our lives. And then what happens to us? What happens to us if we are living in the present moment, if we've eliminated the spiritual cancers that block it? Then how does that change us? What does it do for you or for I? Well, the first thing it should do is turn us into a person of service. Because you cannot be in the presence of God and living in the presence of God and ignoring your neighbor. Ignoring your neighbor. We have a very bad tendency of doing that. The rich young man went away because he couldn't understand when Jesus said, you have to love everybody. People couldn't understand that message. It was so contrary to their way of being, because it says in the old scriptures, in the Hebrew Bible, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. And Jesus says, no, that doesn't go. Because everybody, no matter who they are, no matter what they are, everybody is your neighbor. And you have to be aware of that. And whether we like it or not, our final judgment is going to be based on the way we treat our neighbor. Jesus only gives one account of the final judgment in Scripture. Jesus says, in the end, I will separate them as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. The sheep I will place on my right hand, and the goats on my left. And to those on my right I will say, come into the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, you fed me. I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. I was naked, you clothed me. I was sick or in prison, and you came to comfort me. Oh, as often as you did it to the least of my sisters and brothers, you've done it to me. Oh, I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me to drink. Oh, well, we're charitable people, aren't we? We sit down and write our checks or throw our money in a basket. And we don't have to worry about people too much. The government takes care of them and all the rest of it. But you see, that's not what the Scripture says we should do. It's not. Peter Marin, who was one of the co-founders with Dorothy Day of the Catholic Worker Movement, once wrote, he said, in the earliest days, people were fed, clothed, housed by their fellow Christians. And people would say, the pagans would say, look, see how they love one another. Today, people are fed, clothed, housed, cared for by the state. And pagans would look at us and say, see how the Christians pass their buck. It's true. It says in the letter of James, one of my favorite scriptures, how can you walk into the synagogue if somebody is sitting at the door in need? How can you do that? It's not that we're going out and saving the world. We're ministering to the person that's at our doorstep. There are people that are right by us that need that ministering touch of Jesus Christ more than we could ever imagine. How do you respond to your neighbor? How do you respond to a person that's a different race, a different religion, a different language, a different way of life? How do you respond to them? Do you just shy away? Or do you actually touch them, touch their lives, touch their being? Remember, this goes back probably 20 years ago. I was in Miami, Florida, and I was with the Divine Mercy Conference, and I was one of the speakers. And the church where it was going to be held was a monstrous complex with a lot of different buildings and stuff, but we were going to be in the sanctuary for the talks. And they were having a mass, so we couldn't get in until the people that were there got out. So we're all standing around outside, a beautiful evening, and everybody talking and chit-chatting. Near the main door to go in, sitting on the ground, leaning against the door, was a bum, a tramp, whatever you want to call them. And he was filthy, had a stocking cap on, needed shave, had a little bottom of a soda bottle, plastic soda bottle with a couple of coins in, and he was asking for help. People, when the doors finally opened, all went into side doors. Very few even went into the door where this man was sitting. We get in. I was the first speaker, so I get up and I give my talk. And while I'm giving my talk, there's a bit of a commotion because this vagrant man walked into the sanctuary, into the church. And he's staggering, because he reeked of alcohol, he's staggering up the aisle. And he goes into one of the pews. Well, when he went to go into the pew, everybody, in a couple of pews in front, a couple of pews in back, everybody moved. Every woman picked her purse up and put it on her lap. And the poor man was just sort of sitting there in this empty circle. I finished my talk, and the MC gets up to introduce the next speaker. And as he's introducing the next speaker, the bum gets out of his seat, and the bum starts to go up the aisle. And instead of staggering the way he was when he came in, he started to walk more and more erect. He went up on the altar, went to the pulpit, took his hat off, reached under and pulled out the Bible, and he began to read. I was hungry, you fed me. Thirsty, you gave me to drink. Naked, and you clothed me. A stranger, and you welcomed me. Sick or in prison, and you came to comfort me. And he closed the Bible and walked out the room. Most powerful talk on the mercy of God that I ever heard or ever experienced. Because that's what it's all about. If someone is sitting there, how can you walk by them if they're in need? How? I remember a rabbi friend of mine who was in New York City with a group of his friends, and they were walking along the street, and there was a panhandler there asking for money. The rabbi takes out a couple of dollars and gives it to him. And his friends turned to him and said, why are you doing that? You know he's only going to buy booze or buy drugs or something with it. And the rabbi's response was, why should I be more particular about who I give money to than God was when he gave it to me? Think about that. Why should I be more particular who I give to than God was when he gave to me? And there's an awful lot in that statement, I think. You'll find me in the things that happen. You reach out to somebody. It's not our job to determine worthiness or unworthiness. It's not our job to decide who is going to be the beneficiary of our love, of our life, of our gifts, whatever. God put them there. God put them in front of us so that we can experience the miracle of Christianity. The miracle of Christianity is that in our neighbor, we have Christ at our doorstep to be the object of our love. We have to become available to one another. Because if we believe that we will find God in the things that happen, that's an encounter with God. No matter who we're meeting, no matter what it is, we are encountering God. And we have the responsibility of bringing Christ to that person. Not by preaching, not by trying to convert, not by saying, oh, you're wrong. No. By loving. Simply loving. So once we become aware of the presence of God, once we get useless criticism and useless complaint out of our lives, once we become available to our sisters and brothers, then we come to the fifth step in what I call the spirituality of the present moment. And the fifth step is being a peacemaker in the world. Because we're all called to be peacemakers. We are all called to bring Christ to others. And that's the way we bring peace. By bringing Christ to others. Peace. What does the word peace mean? People everywhere accepting Christ's embrace. That's what peace means. People everywhere accepting Christ's embrace. But as that prayer of St. Teresa says, Christ doesn't have any hands but yours to hold on. No hands but yours. He has no feet to carry you in the world but yours. He has no voice to proclaim the message but your voice. He has no heart to love except your heart. That's how we respond to one another. We become what we eat. Christ, present body and blood, soul and divinity in the Eucharist. We become what we eat. You and I are called to become Christ in our world. We're called to love one another unconditionally.